Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio, welcoming you to another edition of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org, for more info, or you can email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Eve DeLange. We'll be discussing her new book, Betrayed, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Eve was brought to People of Distinction today by some of the best movers in the business, Lettra Press Publishing. If you have a book that you'd like moved, move it through Lettra. You can find them at lettrapress.com. And guys, I'm so excited to have Eve here on the line with us today because we're actually going to be discussing a culmination of books that Eve has written, and you know, all of them revolve around, they're all action-packed and suspenseful that way. And let's be honest, I mean, given the current situation that we're all finding ourselves confined in with this pandemic, I think we can all use a getaway, right? We can all use a journey that we can leave the confines or the construct of our four walls in our home and really take a journey. And Betrayed is definitely one of those stories, as well as the other ones that we're going to address. But, it's such an action-packed adventure. It's a crime adventure story, but it's steeped in reality. It's actually based upon true events. Now, of course, a lot of the information has been changed that way, but the underlying story has been developed from true events that way, and that just makes it all the more shocking and all the more suspenseful. So without further ado, we have Eve here on the line with us, and I am so excited to have her here. Eve, thank you so much for being a guest with us on People of Distinction. How are you today?
Well, thank you very much for asking me, Benji. I'm doing great.
Wonderful. Well, Eve, listen, let's jump right in, okay? I can't refrain any longer, okay? Let's go right into Betrayed. Tell our listening audience a little bit about it, please.
Well, it's based on FBI special agents RAGETTI and SMITTY. And I decided when I started writing that I would give myself a bit of a challenge by making it be FBI so that it has to involve crossing a state. And I thought it would be interesting to the readers to find out how the FBI actually does interviews, how they track a case, how they come up with their clues. So we've all wondered that, haven't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, and what's amazing about that, and again, just the particular topic in which you chose to write about, as you said in the pre-screening call, I mean, it's based upon true events. Is that correct?
That is true. I was lucky enough to know one of the doctors that worked at the hospital where the Medicare scam was being pulled. And so he talked about nothing besides that. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of decided to write it from the FBI point of view rather than from a doctor's point of view. So it really has a lot of action going. It lets you know all the things that they have to go through, and I think it keeps you interested, keeps you turning the pages.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, already just within the first few minutes of this interview, I'm hooked, and I'm definitely intrigued. So I'm sure once our listening audience gets their hands on the book and starts to read themselves, they'll be just as intrigued by it. Now, Eve, talk to us about the title, Betrayed. I mean, very intriguing right there. I mean, even if you know nothing about the book, none of the concepts that the book is going to go into, just the word betrayed is so intriguing already, and already just takes our minds on a journey. Talk to our listening audience here at People of Distinction how you developed the name Betrayed and brought that into fruition creatively.
Well, first of all, I wanted a catchy title that would catch people's eye. Mm-hmm. So, and also I wanted it to reflect what the story was going to be about. And Betrayed enters two different things here. First of all, the people that were doing the Medicare scam actually betrayed their patients and the public because they were not giving them the kind of service that they deserved. And another reason that I chose Betrayed is because we find out mid-story that all this has been reported to the FBI previously, and unfortunately, greed took over, and the FBI agent decided that money was more important than getting the story out.
Isn't that a theme that we're a little all too familiar with, right? The theme of greed and turning the blind eye when money presents itself that way. Definitely a relatable concept there. Now,
yes, money is the root of all evil, I think.
No, that's the truth. That's the truth. Now, Eve, talk to us about the inspiration. Now, really, multi-part question here. The inspiration for this book, of course, you talked about how it's based upon the true events, and you had a direct relationship with a doctor that was able to relay this information to you. But even more so than that, focusing on really just your inspiration as a writer, where does that inspiration derive from? I mean, did you always see yourself as an author? Were there particular authors that inspired you to go down this creative path, or particular people that inspired you to go down this creative path?
Well, all of my life I have loved the idea of writing. In fact, I was such a nerd that during my summer vacation in high school, I would actually write some sort of a story so I could present it to my English teacher in the fall. But what really got my attention about writing at this late age in life is that something happened to someone very close to me. And so I decided to write a story about it to get the public's eye. So it's a nonfiction story, and it is written under a pen name. So I really can't talk about that. But while I was writing it, I realized that I really enjoy writing. And so I started the book Betrayed at the very same time that I was writing this nonfiction book. And I'm hooked. I like to have a story going all the time.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, like I said, it sounds fantastic. And, going into the canon of books that you have in your repertoire, I mean, it definitely seems like you have an act for it, right? You definitely have an act for not only writing, but writing fiction in particular. I mean, obviously you just hinted towards the nonfiction book, which we're not going to touch up on, for other purposes. But the majority of the books, or all the other books, are all fictional pieces, correct?
Yes, and they are all involving special agents RAGETTI and SMITTY. I didn't get around to actually including their names in the title until I came to my fourth book. And now the fourth book, under the title, it actually says in parentheses, a RAGETTI and SMITTY novel. So
Wonderful.
It is these same two special agents that you will get to know. You'll get to know about their lives and what they're like, how they think. It's just, I think I was inspired from Nora Roberts and J.D. Robb that she uses as a pen name, because I am so involved with her books, and it's the same Lieutenant Dallas every time. And so I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to have these readers out there just wait for my next book and find out what RAGETTI and SMITTY are up to.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's fantastic when you're able to build a journey that way that actually goes beyond the borders of one particular book, and you create layers that way that you can continue to follow the path of those characters that the readers grow to love and really become engulfed by. So definitely something that is absolutely relatable. Guys, taking a quick break. Again, we're here on the line with Eve DeLange discussing her book Betrayed, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Now, Eve, going into it, I know, Betrayed, again, as you stated before, it's a series of book, or Betrayed itself is of course one, but it revolves around an FBI agents, and there's a series of 4 in the canon this way. Now, talk to me and talk to our listening audience. I mean, how did publishing your first book influence your way of writing?
I guess the way it influenced my writing is that I knew that the world out there doesn't have an idea at all as to who Eve DeLange is. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, I decided to go with self-publishing. And that's what I have done with the first 3 books. I actually am the publisher of the 4th book. But it's very interesting to me to find all the things involved in publishing a book. I mean, there's the cover, there is, the size of the book, all sorts of things that you have to get into. And I never really thought about that. I have been a professional proofreader, writer, and editor for International Harvester, but I just never pictured myself actually in reading or writing fiction, It just seemed like it was something for other people to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting how you say, there's a lot more that goes into it, right? And I think that is applicable in so many things. Myself, I'm an actor and a filmmaker here in Los Angeles, and I remember for the majority of my, career and experience as an actor, it's always in front of the camera, and always on stage and memorizing lines and being able to, develop my characters that way. And then when I developed my own production company and we started to actually film projects, and I was now behind the scenes operating the camera and, working from a director standpoint or from a producer standpoint, there's so many other facets that go into it that you just don't really think about when you're only on one side of it. So, hearing you talk about writing the book is one thing, but then in developing it now from a publishing standpoint, creating the book cover and all of these other nuances that really come into it that play into the whole marketability of the book. It's so much more than just the writing on the page. And it's definitely a relatable concept there. Now, Eve, going into, as we kind of tie up Betrayed here and we start to go into the other books that you've written, already we've discussed so many facets of the book, and it sounds like there's hills and there's valleys and there's a lot to experience within Betrayed. But if there's one underlying message or theme that you really want our audience here at People of Distinction to be able to pull from this interview, that you really want them to know and understand about Betrayed, what would you say that message is?
I think that even though people should naturally trust their doctors, I think that if you feel that something isn't quite right, you should pursue that. Find out, the bad guy in this book was, he did colonoscopies. And that's an important thing, a colonoscopy can discover that you have cancer or
Absolutely.
Many things. So I think it's very important that if a person in the medical field, if they don't feel like they're getting as good a coverage as they should pursue it. Because you never know when a scam can be working.
Absolutely. Yeah, and such a powerful message there. It's not about disbelief or not having faith in the practitioners. It's really just about protecting yourself and making sure that you're taking the proper precautions. There's nothing wrong with doing the extra research or getting that second opinion to make sure that things are being conducted in the way where it's going to be overall for your best interest that way. So absolutely, Eve, appreciate that. Now, as we close on that and we move forward, so there's going to be 3 other books that we quickly discuss, okay? Now, again, obviously, Betrayed was really the focus of the interview, but We have 3 other books here that we're going to quickly go into that Eve also has written. So we have one which is called Teen Sex Slave. Can you give us a quick description on that one, Eve?
Well, this is a horrifying thing that happens to young teenagers. In my book, it ends up involving people from foreign countries, Norway, Hong Kong, Macau, various places around the earth. And it's very sad to find, sex trafficking is a big problem, not only in the United States, but everywhere. Mm-hmm. And the people involved with this have chosen very young teenage girls. And of course, they all speak English, and they're all very beautiful. And it just goes into the whole horrifying thing, because this is something that we have to realize is going on in our society today.
Absolutely. Really a storyline that we're all too familiar with, as unfortunate as that may be. Next book that we have in the lineup is Bizzare Events.
Well, in Bizzare Events, the first part of the book deals with Pope Joseph coming to the United States for a good relations type of visit. And unfortunately, while he is here, he is assassinated. And so, that drew people from Italy, the CSI, the FBI, the local police, anyone and everyone.
Absolutely.
Became very upset about it. And so I just kind of walked it through. It has a surprising ending. And the second half of the book is about some of the myths that you hear about Sedona, Arizona. There's a lot of voodoo, people believing in aliens. You just never know what. But in this case, people are coming up missing. And not a clue. Dogs can't find anything, nothing. And so that one will really keep you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it. Chilling stuff there.
Chilling, yes.
Absolutely. Now, the last one we're going to quickly discuss is Beware the Lonely Road.
Yes, it's one of my favorites, being that I have just finished with it. I believe it just came out in April 30th, so it's the newest book. And it's about a man named James Wolfe, who has the regrettable goal of trying to rape and murder young women from one corner of the coast all the way to the other end of the coast. So from Washington, the northern part, all the way to Florida. He wants to see how many people, how many women he can get and not be caught. So lots of action in this one.
Absolutely.
And it just ended up that it, again, is RAGETTI and SMITTY who end up catching the criminal.
Wonderful. Guys, as we're finishing up here, again, on the line with Eve DeLange, we started off by talking about Betrayed, then quickly went into Teen Sex Slave, Bizzare Events, and Beware the Lonely Road. What's fantastic, all of these books revolving around so much action and adventure, but tied together in the FBI series this way. And Eve has really tied these books together magnificently in the way that she's been able to orchestrate it. And again, as I started off the interview by saying, we're spending a lot of time at home lately. If you really want to get away, want to take a journey, and won't even have to leave the confines of your own home, you have to get on over to Amazon or Barnes & Noble, order these books online, get them delivered, whatever you need to do. Betrayed, Teen Sex Slave, Bizzare Events, and Beware the Lonely Road. You absolutely will not be disappointed with either one of these books. They're all fantastic and such a journey to be taking with Eve DeLange. Eve, thank you so much for bringing these books to our table. We truly appreciated it.
Well, thank you, Benji. And I would like to end with one really optimistic note.
Absolutely.
I would like the audience to know that my nonfiction book has been chosen by Universal Studios to become a movie. And so I guess that proves that my books are worth reading. So I wish I could talk about it more, but I can't.
Of
Thanks.
course. No, we we understand that. But guys, there it is. There's no bigger stamp of approval than Universal Studios wanting to make a movie out of the book, right? So get out there and pick up a copy for yourself. And like I said, you definitely will not be disappointed. Eve, thank you so much again. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.